What's the biggest supply chain challenge you faced since you've been at Vallen? And of course, how did you solve that?
So yeah, coming from manufacturing and then a small distribution channel partner. So now we are a channel partner. I had no idea that the business could be as complicated as it is. So many different levers. It's been awesome. Really enjoying it. And the biggest challenge was I couldn't believe the SKU proliferation. Over 31,000 stocking items. Not counting the number of skulls we have, it's crazy. And so the biggest challenge, is to make sure, do we have the right things in stock to keep that inventory healthy? Is it healthy? Is it moving? Why isn't it moving? What's changed in our customer base that things aren't moving the way they were? The way we quote on contracts and the commitments we make, it all adds a layer of complication to our business. So absolutely, the SKU proliferation and trying to get our inventory and our KPIs healthy and working in the right direction, while absolutely providing the better in class service to our customers, because it's all about fill rate. And we had an ERP system where all that planning was very, very manual, and Slim4 has automated that for us. We brought our branches on live February this year, just before everything hit. And thank goodness, because now we have beautiful dashboards that can help us make decisions faster. And we can look at things that are anomalies rather than having to chunk through line items by line items for all those SKUs at all those branches. So, I think that was my biggest challenge. I knew I was going to have to work hard, and I'm not above hard work. And it's been great. It's been really great.
You're located in Canada, one of the biggest countries in the world geographically. You have stocking locations as far west as roughly Vancouver and as far east as St. John's, Newfoundland, which I did some math, is 4,150 miles, 6,700 kilometers, or I looked it up, 75 hours by car, according to Google. So how do you manage supplying your wide assortment that we've talked about so far over such a geography, and also accounting for all the regional differences in between?
Right, and there are regional differences because, for sure, because we have completely different weather patterns across Canada, and we sell rainwear and winter clothing and toques, and preparing for that is quite interesting. So what we do is we review the spend data across all those 26 branches often, and we're making sure that we are buying direct. When we can meet a prepaid minimum for a vendor, we're making sure that we are using the most economic model to get that product to that branch. And where we can't meet prepaid minimums, then we go back and negotiate better deals. Or we go back and start using some of the mini hubs that we have across Canada to see if we can inventory and stock there, just to mitigate some of the freight charges across Canada. One of the really important things of Slim4, and I know it's a work in progress right now, we're really excited about the network optimization tool that's being developed, because that will look at every hub of inventory that we have, freight rates loaded, and that's going to help us optimize across Canada where best to supply and source from. And we're working through that now, and really, really happy about that. In terms of regional differences, you've got the weather changes, and you've got the, in our business, regional areas love to have their own tools, and they support certain manufacturers. So this is also a challenge for a distribution company, because you want to keep that inventory healthy. So this is where, and we're working through this as well, and it's very, very fun. This is where you start looking at all your tail spend across Canada to find who's buying what. You have to work with the business development people who work very closely with their customers and influence a different buy, and to start consolidating some of that vendor spend, because if we can manage costs across the network more effectively, we can provide a better service as well for our customers.
Your portfolio, all these 31,000 items, come from a variety of places, and because you're so spread out, how do you handle the variety of lead times combined with the reliability of the inbound lead times for product? And then how much of a headache did COVID add to that?
So when you convert to a tool like Slim4, and perhaps you want to get your cutover finished as quick as you can, and you know what parameters need to be clean when you go on a planning system. Mm-hmm. Perhaps we didn't spend as much time as we could have on making sure that our lead time data was clean. So when you've got that, and now you layer on COVID, you're obviously going to have lead time variations, and we're working through that now. So what happened was our lead time hasn't been clean. We have a beautiful tool now, the lead time variation report, and now we're working through in order. When you now have a pair of safety glasses that used to take 5 days to get and now it's 50, you obviously have to up your inventory to bridge that gap. First, understand what is causing that, and it's demand, low supply, high demand, and then now you've got to bring in that inventory to be able to buffer through that, and really hard to be doing it after the fact and after a pandemic has started. So that's one of the things you have to look at. So the lead time variation it has to be crisp. You have to know what your lead times are, and you have to negotiate better lead times where you can, so that you can keep your inventory optimized. So yes, we started measuring it because now we have the tool to measure it. We had some opportunities there to begin with, and then it got layered on. Now we have all of this outrageous demand. Our demand in some areas has increased by 200%, and now our lead times have gone out, from 5 days to 50 days and even more. So it absolutely is a challenge, and it's really important to be able to go through your AA items and make sure that you've got inventory in place to be able to work through that to keep your service levels high.
Okay. Now we've been in this pandemic for several months. What do you see as the challenges as we continue to make our way through?
So I think one of the first challenges is making sure that you've got reliable sources of supply, including manufacturers. We have a situation happening now where our manufacturers had tier 1 nitrile glove factories right now, and they had contracts in place. Right now, what's happening is it's going to the highest bidder. So if somebody from a different, if a manufacturer, one of our tier 1 suppliers, has an order on a manufacturer, they're being bumped, or their order is being redirected to somebody who's paid a higher price. We're dealing with different countries. When is the next border going to close? All of this is a challenge because today, perhaps the border in India is open and they're a huge glove manufacturing area, and tomorrow they're closed because their numbers have gone high and they've had to shut down the country. So this is all a challenge because nothing is what it seems. So you've got your raw material shortages. You've got maybe communication challenges. Are you dealing with countries that are, ahead of us, behind us? It's not like you can pick up the phone and get an answer right away. And I think the biggest challenge is forecasting. Who knows? We're selling some of our product lines at 200% over what we did last year. The manufacturers can't keep up. The U.S. puts a DPA in place that might prevent some of the material coming to Canada. You just don't know. And our customers know as much as we do. They don't know whether they're going to have full headcount in tomorrow. They don't know if their shutdowns are going to be smaller or whether they're going to do them next year. No, but it's the uncertainty. I think that's one of the biggest challenges is the uncertainty. And how do you prepare for that without bringing in so much inventory that, you know, it's just not in the best interest of the company and financially?